Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Prabhu Nityananda, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna. So welcome all of you this morning Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class. Verse 18, no? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we are reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 2nd, Chapter 6, Purusa Shukta Confirmed, and verse 18. So amritasya bhayasyesho martyam annam yadatyagat mahimai sa tato brahman purusasya dhuratyaya. So amritasya bhayasyesho martyam annam yadatyagat mahimai sa tato brahman purusasya dhuratyaya. So amritasya bhayasyesho martyam annam yadatyagat mahimai sa tato brahman purusasya dhuratyaya. Bhayasyesho martyam annam yadatyagat mahimai sa tato brahman purusasya dhuratyaya. Amritasya bhayasyesho martyam annam dadatyaga mahimai sa tato brahman purusasya dhuratyaya. Mataji. So amritasya bhayasyesho martyam annam yadatyagat mahime sa tato brahman purusasya dhuratyaya. Word to word translation. Saha, he, the Lord, amritasya, of deathlessness, abhayasya, of fearlessness, Isha, the controller, martyam, dying, annam, fruitive action, here one who has, atyagat, has transcendent, mahima, the glories, Esha, of him, tatha, therefore, Brahman, O Brahmana Narada, Purushasya, of the Supreme Personality, Dhuratyaya, immeasurable, Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the controller of immortality and fearlessness, and He is transcendental to death and fruitive actions of the material world. O Narada, O Brahmana, it is therefore difficult to measure the glories of the Supreme Person. Purport. The glories of the Lord is transcendental. 75% of the Lord's internal potency are stated in the Padma Purana, Uttarakanda. It is said that those planets in the spiritual sky which comprises the 75% expansion of his internal potency of the Lord are far greater than those planets in the total universes composed of the external potency of the Lord. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, the total universes in the external potency of the Lord is compared to a bucket full of mustard seed. One mustard seed is calculated to be a universe itself. If one of the universes in which we are now living, the number of planets cannot be counted by human energy, and so how can we think of the sum total of all universes, which are compared to a bucket full of mustard seeds? And the planets in the spiritual sky are at least 3 times the number of these material stars. Such planets, being spiritual, are in fact transcendental to the material modes. Therefore, they are constituted of the mode of unalloyed goodness. The conception of spiritual bliss, Brahmananda, is full present in those planets. Each of them is eternal, indestructible, and free from all kind of invarities experienced in the material world. Each of them is self-illuminating and more powerfully dazzling than, if you can imagine, the total sunshine of millions of mundane suns. The inhabitants of those planets are liberated from birth, death, old age and disease, and have full knowledge of everything. They are all godly and free from all sort of material hankering. They have nothing to do there except to render transcendental loving services to the Supreme Lord Narayan, who is the predominating deity of Vaikuntha planets. Those liberated souls are engaged incessantly in singing songs mentioned in the Samaveda. Vedeya Sangha Pada Kramo Panisader Gayantiya Samagaha. All of them are personification of 5 Upanishads. Tripad Vibhuti, or 75% known as the internal potency of the Lord, is to be understood as the kingdom of God far beyond the material sky. And when we speak of Pada Vibhuti, or the 25% comprising this external energy, we should understand that this refers to the sphere of material world. It is also said in the Padma Puran that the kingdom of Tripada Vibhuti is transcendental, whereas Pada Vibhuti is mundane. Tripada Vibhuti is eternal, whereas Pada Vibhuti is transcendent. The Lord and His eternal servitors in the transcendent kingdom all have eternal forms which are auspicious, infallible, spiritual, and eternally youthful. In other words, there is no birth, death, old age, and disease. The eternal land is full of transcendental enjoyment and full of beauty and bliss. The very fact is also corroborated in the word of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and the transcendental nature is described as Amrita, as described in the Vedas. Utamritasya tasyesya sanaha. The Supreme Lord is the Lord of all of immortality, or in other words, the Lord is immortal. And because He is the Lord of immortality, He can award immortality to His devotees. In the Bhagavad Gita 18.16, the Lord also assures that whoever goes to His abode of immortality shall never return to this mortal land and of threefold miseries. The Lord is not like a mundane Lord. The mundane master or the Lord never enjoys equally with their subordinates, nor is the mundane Lord immortal, nor can He award immortality to His subordinate. The Supreme Lord, who is the shelter of all living entities, can award all qualities of His personality unto His devotee, including immortality, spiritual bliss. In the material world, there is always anxiety of fearfulness in the heart of all living entities. But the Lord, being Himself the Supreme Fearless, also award the same quality of fearlessness to His pure devotees. The mundane existence is itself a kind of fear, because in all mundane bodies, the effects of birth, death, old age, and disease always keeps a living being compact in fear. Shri Radha Madhav ki, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maya ki, Shri Gaur ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. The mundane existence in itself is influence of time. In the mundane world, there is always the influence of time, which changes things from one stage to another. And the living entity, originally being avikara or unchangeable, suffers a great deal of account of changes due to the influence of time. The changing effects of eternal time are conspicuously absent in the immortal kingdom of God, which should therefore be understood to have no influence of time and therefore no fear whatsoever. In the material world, the so-called happiness is the result of one's own work. One can become rich man by the dint of one's own hard labor, and there is always a fear and doubt as to the duration of such acquired happiness. In the kingdom of God, no one has to endeavor to attain the standards of happiness. Happiness is the nature of the spirit, as stated in Vedanta Sutta. Anandamaya Bhasya. The spirit is by nature full of happiness. Happiness in spiritual nature always increases in volume with the new phase of appreciation. There is no question of decreasing the bliss. Such unalloyed spiritual bliss is nowhere to be found within the orbit of material universe, including the Janaloka planet or that of the Maharloka or Satyaloka, because even Brahma is subject to the lot of fruitive actions and the law of birth and death. It is therefore stated here, Dhurat Yaya, or in other words, the spiritual happiness in the eternal kingdom of God cannot be imagined even by the greatest brahmacharis or sannyasi, who are eligible to be promoted to the planets beyond the region of heaven, or the greatness of Supreme Lord is so great that it cannot be imagined even by the greatest brahmachari or sannyasi. But such happiness is factually attained by unalloyed devotee of the Lord by His grace. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshushanmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakavalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamcha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Mitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshvatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna. Wrong purport. Becoming devotee, when we initially preach, what we bombard about the spiritual world is mentioned here. To our friends and family, right? There is no birth and old age, disease and death in the spiritual world. Isn't it? We preach that very strongly. When we understand that अगर आप गोलोक चले जाएगा वहां पर जन्म मृत्यु नहीं है. And these sections of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is very, very important and very special and very, very interesting. And someone who's interested about knowledge, jnana, he has so much juice in this, so much nectar. For people like me, those who come from a background where, they would escape material education because so much homework is there. Preparing classes for this section of Bhagavatam is writing a school homework, Isn't it? It is like a homework of the school because so much data about creation. Yesterday I was mentioning that this section of Bhagavatam, nowhere in the creation, nowhere in the scripture, nowhere in the world, books, literatures, you have such explanation on creation, such detailed explanation of creation, where what is coming from, and the further expansion, the plenary expansion, what we call the quadral expansion, Leela Avatar, then Guna Avatar, and Leela Shakti, Ichha Shakti, Swarup Shakti. You just go on, you just need a whole graph. Devotees have made a graph also to understand. And it is very blissful. Luckily, when last time I had to speak on this, it was Prabhupada Leela Amrit Ekadashi. And this time also it's a very safe verse for me. It speaks about, but otherwise, really, it takes energy. One has to go through it. As I said, one was very interested in knowledge. very, very calculative. He can be busy. He can be put busy in this section. And that is why it is by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, it has been made available also in a very understandable language. One of my first classes which I was hearing in Mayapur in 2003, Jayapataka Maharaj was giving class, I think it was third or fifth canto. So Maharaj was mentioning that the Vedic literatures, the knowledge was not so easily available for the people of Kali Yuga. Because there was no BBT, Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. The books were not so easily available. Anyone who was very interested to study Vedas or the scriptures or the Gita or the Bhagavatam, he would go and surrender to the spiritual master his whole life. And then the spiritual master narrate him from his guru's teaching. And then the disciple would make his own book, writing what spiritual master is narrating. He would write it and create his own copy of the scriptures. The BBT was not available. Print and buy and you do it. It was not available like this. So in this verse, there are a lot of teachings for all of us. Like it is mentioned right in the beginning, if you see. It speaks about 75%, 3/4, right? 3/4 of the creation is spiritual. And 1/4 is the material sky. Now, Prabhupada writes here, the glories of the Lord is transcendental. 75% of the Lord's internal potency are stated in Padma Puran, and it is said that those planets in the spiritual sky which are comprises this 75% expansion of the internal potency of the Lord are far, far greater than those planets in the total universe comprised of the external potency of the Lord. Now, what is this external potency and internal potency? And then it is also mentioned in one of the universes in which we are living, the number of planets cannot be counted by the human energy. And how can we think of the sum total of universes which are compared to a bucket full of mustard seeds? Bucket full of mustard seeds. Now, in simple language, Prabhupada is actually trying to explain us how inconceivable the jiva is. How inconceivable the living entity is. Once, I don't know, it was Tamal Krishna Maharaj who was talking to Srila Prabhupada. I exactly don't remember the exact context, but Srila Prabhupada explains. I don't know, it was Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada said there is one Tamal Krishna who is distributing many books. Yeah. So Prabhupada, once Tamal Krishna Maharaj was explaining about his book distribution, or sharing the success of the book distribution. So Srila Prabhupada said, there is a spiritual realm and the material realm. And there are innumerable planets inconceivable in the spiritual realm. And that is the 3/4 of the creation of the Lord. And 1/4 of the creation of the Lord is a material world. Even in the material world, there are so many lokas and there are so many planetary systems. And there are so many, each planetary system, there are so many universes. In one of those universes, in one of the planet in that universe called Earth, in that planet there are so many countries. In that one of the country, in one place, Tamal Krishna is distributing books. Prabhupada said like this. So, now in this also, if you see, Prabhupada is writing, so much is there. In fact, in this way, we can understand that the whole geography in the material, it's not that we are like, we are enemies of someone. But the truth is that the material education system is very limited. And it is perceived, like for example, when we talk about geography, some things can be perceived by the material eyes, which is also not so perfect. But once His Holiness Sukadeva Goswami Maharaj, in 2005, he was before the TOEP, because they were supposed to build the Vedic planetarium, the universal structure. Prabhupada said, when Srila Prabhupada, it actually happened in Hyderabad, no, this past time, of TOEP. In Detroit or Abbots, one of the places, Prabhupada was discussing about the universal structure. And that's when Srila Prabhupada said we should have a Adbhut Mandir, a temple of Vedic planetarium in Mayapur. And in that, we should show what is in the Bhagavatam. The whole universal structure should be shown in that temple of Vedic planetarium on the dome. And let the scholars of the world come and see what is in the Bhagavatam and make their comment. Make their comment. And now work is in progress. The temple is ready, the dome is ready also. Very soon the universal structure will also be ready there. So while this video was being made, Dhanvir Maharaj was told to make a 3D video, graphic movable structure with graphic designing as per Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, create this. If you see that video is still there, I would never understand what it is, but I used to show all the students. And students would be sitting like this. They don't understand anything, I also don't understand. But all are surprised, But because the content is so amazing. Prabhupada's purpose, when you put it, it is so amazing. So students would see that. So our devotees who are assisting Dhanvir Maharaj, one of them was most of them were Bhakti Vikas Maharaj disciples actually. Divya Prabandha Prabhu was there. Gokul Chandra Prabhu was there. They were all living in Juhu in the final stage of describing the. So they had actually met many Vaishnavacharyas who have written commentaries. And many Sri Vaishnava Acharyas in the south, Madhvacharyas, Madhva line Acharyas, they had met them. And one of them made a very nice statement. He said, if the description of Bhagavatam is presented as a structure, it can make the whole material science realize about their defect. What do these scientists think? Understand the creation, the procreation, if we say, in the womb of a human being is so crystal clearly explained in the Bhagavatam. In the Bhagavatam. Without killing anyone. The science, the knowledge is available. So that's why Prabhupada wanted that. He wanted a generation to come out who would just come out of Gita and Bhagavatam. And they would have complete faith. As if they know everything. Prabhupada wanted this. That's why Prabhupada used to say, we should educate our children in such a way that they become disqualified for the material lifestyle. They become disqualified for the materialistic lifestyle. All what we lack is faith. It is just the faith and Bhaktivedanta purpose. And lifestyle. If Grasthas make their life in such a way, Krishna is the maintainer and controller, and read only Bhagavatam every day, and have services throughout the day with the family, there's no need of anything else. Recently I came across one clip. In my broadcast I shared. Have you seen that one small boy those who are in my broadcast must have got that clip. So apparently it was from one movie, but when I came across, I was laughing and laughing. And it is very good actually. It's very connected, no? Correct, no? Faith, material and spiritual education, that faith on it. So there was one boy in a village. You saw that? A small boy in a village. And in the villages, the schools were not so much appreciated in the very early days when they were introduced. And children were sent to some Brahmana or some Pandit in the temples who would speak Bhagavatam stories, who would speak Ramayana stories, and the child would be educated of being a good human being from there. So this boy in this movie, he had gone to Panditji school for 5-6 years, and his father was working in the city. So suddenly his father comes back and he admits this child into a school. So one day the school's special inspection officer comes. When this officer comes there, so he greets all the boys, and then he asks them, so I hope you all are learning very nicely. So then he asks, so anyone knows why does lunar eclipse, right? Surya Grahan is solar eclipse. He says, does anyone know how does solar eclipse take place? So this boy raises his hand. So he said, Acha, you know, come here. He makes him stand in front of the whole school. And the boy says, Kaise hota batao? So he says, once there was Samudra Manthan. And I was telling the school, no? In the Samudra Manthan, the demons and the demigods were opposite side. And then he explains who the snake Vasuki, right? They take the snake and they start pulling each other. And then at one point, the Lord appears as Mohini Murti, and he takes the Amrit and he goes into the side of the demigods. And then he's sitting there, Rahu, who was also demon, comes and sit there. And Surya, he actually identifies. Surya and Chandra is identified. And after this pastime, the Surya and Chandra Grahan happens. The inspection officer goes mad. And he looks at the teachers. He looks at the teachers that, what the hell is this going on in this school? You know? What the hell is this going on? Then they send him back. Very, very disrespectfully sends the boy back. And another boy was asked another question, even from geography. So another boy starts giving answer. This boy who has read Bhagavatam stories, he shouts in the between, Sir, his answer is wrong. He's giving a wrong answer. It's not right answer. So the teacher says, Arey beta, tu chup ho ja, warna mera hi Surya Grahan ho jayega yahan par. It's a very, very beautiful clip. I will share it. And then that boy goes home and he tells his mother, I am not going to the school anymore from tomorrow. So mother says, what happened? Mother says, what happened? He says, everyone has gone mad in the school. The principal is gone mad, the teachers have gone mad, and students have no sense. So mother said, what happened? Arey, this teacher is telling that the earth, the universe is rotating, is hanging in the sky. How is that possible? And very angrily he says. And then he throws his shoe in the air. The mother gets scared. Both the shoes in the air like this. They remove the shoes. So the shoes goes in the air and falls down. So just see, did my shoes hang in the air? And then he shows the photo. In the house there was a photo. On the head of Ananta Shesh, there was a universe. He says, देखो, भूमंडल तो अनंत शेष के सर पर है और ये मूर्ख टीचर बोल रहा है ये हवे में. So you see, that is why it is said that when one is innocent, Kaumara Achara, when one is innocent, the faith is established. So from this movie, this clip, I was just thinking. I said, this is what we need. We need our children to go out and preach like this. That's it, nothing else. This faith is what Srila Prabhupada is writing here. The Sri Prabhupada is one way he's explaining about the whole creation and how we are inconceivable about it. But if we have faith on this knowledge, that's the real thing. The mundane existence itself is a kind of fear. Very beautiful. I mean, uh, for one who wants to understand in this purport, there's so much. One can whole life contemplate. Each purport of Srila Prabhupada is so beautiful that one can actually perfect his life just by one purport of Srila Prabhupada. See, in this purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, mundane existence is itself a kind of fear, because all mundane bodies, the effects of birth, death, old age and disease always keeps the living being compact in fear. Birth, old age, disease and death keeps the living being compact in fear. In the mundane world, there is always influence of time, which changes things from one stage to another. The living entity, originally being avikara or unchangeable, suffers the great deal of account of changes due to the influence of time. This is sum and substance of the explanation of the whole existence in the material world, actually. That everyone in the material world is living in so much of fear. And only by mercy we can understand this. See, when we explain this just verbally, birth, old age, disease and death, no. While the birth is happening, everyone is fearful. People are fearful of death also. People are fearful of disease also. Little bit success and happiness which is in the material world is very temporary. Because as soon as you enjoy it, the time changes. The time takes it away. Like I always give an explanation. Suppose you have let's take an example that you pass in 10th standard. You are so happy, The whole family is happy. People are calling everyone family members that, Chanti got this much percentage, he's passed and this and that. So much, there is so much of festivity, correct? When you pass. But then, after 5 years, can you remember that you remember when you passed in 10th standard? We enjoyed so much. It was so nice. No. The time is gone. It's taken away. It's gone. It's very temporary. It cannot come back. But what comes with unfulfilled desires of our own mind, and so many people living in this material with all these unfulfilled desires which are there in our mind from millions and millions of life, and those desires which we acquired while in this body, living with our friends and society, comparing with each other. We have those desires and we are living with all these things, and time keeps on changing. Isn't it suffering? Nothing is in our control. Everyone thinks that the grass is green on the other side. That's the whole thing. Radhesham used to give an example. People in the bus are always looking outside. And people on the road are always looking at the vehicles in the bus and cars, what is happening. Isn't it? That's the whole world all about. That's how the whole world is functioning. Then in that comes the gross and subtle bodies. In that comes the mind, intelligence and false ego. And we have to deal with all these things. Within this purpose, Srila Prabhupada concludes also very beautifully. It is therefore stated, Duratyaya, or in other words, the spiritual happiness in the eternal kingdom of the God cannot be imagined even by the greatest brahmachari or a sannyasi who is eligible to be promoted to the planet beyond the region of heaven. Or the greatness of the Supreme Lord is so great that even that it cannot be imagined by greatest brahmachari or sannyasi. But such happiness is factually attained by an unalloyed devotee of the Lord by His divine grace. Prabhupada is very sharply hitting practicing devotee. You know, that it is not the false ego of the upadhi or the padvi or the ashram we are in by which we can understand the spiritual subject matter about the eternal kingdom of the God. It cannot. If you are a brahmachari, the Gaur Govind Maharaj says, in Kali Yuga, there is only measuring what we call only measuring object is pride. Is pride. If you say, I am great, there will be 10 people around you who will thinking, what does he think of himself? As soon as the opportunity will come, the other person say, I am great. And then the other person will say, I am great. And the other person will criticize that he is not great, actually he is great. The fourth person will say, Arey, what does he think of himself? Actually he is the greatest. But everyone thinks, I am the great. I am the great. Even in the material world, the ugliest looking person, if he's black in skin, he'll think little fair and lovely, if I put, I look like Shah Rukh Khan. Almost. Everyone thinks like this. Dark people. Fair people will think I look like Salman Khan or Amir Khan. Everyone. Any hero you see movies in the childhood, you'll feel like you look like him actually. Everyone. That's how it is. That's how this illusion is. Once I was asking, and there is so much description. Yesterday, our devotees were discussing about the Lord's potency. Hitesh was asking, internal energy, external energy, marginal energy, Lord's what we call Lord's three intrinsic energies also. Sandhini, Samvit and Hladini Shakti. These are all in the Lord's internal energy. All this is very nicely explained. Prabhupada, actually these sentences and these words were not available in this world. It is an invention of Srila Prabhupada for the conditioned soul to understand. If you don't believe my words, just read Bhakti Siddhanta's Saraswati Thakur's purports of Bhagavatam. Forget about Bhagavatam. Just read Brahma Samhita of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. If you can understand the head and tail of it, you'll understand, you can imagine what our Acharya's writing used to be. Anyone studied Brahma Samhita? The purports of Bhakti? Many times I tried to read it and then left it. It's because it's Bhakti Siddhanta's purport. You read it? Tried to read? Right. Anyone read it and understood and can explain? Brahma Samhita purports of Bhakti Siddhanta. What to speak about all other acharyas? It is Srila Prabhupada who made it available. He says internal energy is also known as the spiritual energy. This potency is internal, full of knowledge, full of bliss. It manifests the spiritual world and makes the 3/4 of the creation. It's an internal energy of the Lord. Like now, what to say? Someone asked Radheshyam Prabhu, or Radheshyam was giving a class a few days ago. He was telling that there is a creation of a human being also. A human being gets married and then he begets his own children, and that begetting is done by him. Him and his family together, he and his wife creates another child. That's also creation. No? That's also creation. From that we can understand the Lord has his own creation, which is internal. Internal. The external energy, it is said, yesterday I was telling about Yoga Maya, Mahamaya. Actually, they are both one. As per the consciousness of Jiva, they assist. But external energy, it actually helps the Lord to assist to create the whole material world, which is the 1/4. Now what is this? It is explained that those jivas who want to imitate the Supreme Lord, The Lord is so kind, there's a creation for that also. And those jivas who want to imitate the Lord, they all are sent there. That's an external creation. And the marginal energies are the jivas. They are spiritual. They are part of internal energy of the Lord. But because of not, whenever they have their what we call minute independence. They have minute independence. With that independence, when they make their choice, they come under the realm of internal energy or the external energy of the Lord. Sometimes internal energy, external. Then there is Sandhini Shakti, and then it's a whole creation. Lord, it is also known as Bala, the energy. Then there is creation of the Lord, and there is expansion of the Lord. We understand the first expansion is Balaram, right? From Lord Balaram comes Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Anirudh and Vyasadeva. Then again comes Narayana. From Narayana again caudal expansion of, from Sankarshan comes Mahasankarshan and Pradyumna, Anirudh and Vyasadeva. So in this way, there's a whole full explanation given on creation. It's a very deep subject. And then there is Samvit Shakti. It is mentioned, Samvit Shakti of the Lord is both spiritual and material. And it is actually also known as the Jnana. This energy is responsible for the knowledge of perception. And then there's Haladini Shakti. All the concepts of the Lord's, they are actually, they generate activity and bliss for the Lord. And that's Haladini Shakti. And the personification of Haladini Shakti is mentioned. Srimati Radharani and all the concept and all the gopis. These subjects are understood over a period of time by reading, associating and being with devotees. It is not a subject which is understood by one's technical approach towards it. It comes by one's spiritual maturity, as the last word of this purport mentions. But such happiness is factually attained by unalloyed devotees by the divine grace. Prabhupada, in the purport, he explains spiritual, material, 75%, 25% bliss, happiness, fear, temporary birth, old age, disease, death. Then he smashes the ego. That not by brahmachari and sannyasi, by joining the temple and all these things you will understand, but by unalloyed devotion. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada, one place he writes this also, fearlessness of his pure devotee. See that? Can someone read that? It's there. Is there? It's okay. Prabhupada. I'm not able to find it.
But in the material world, there is always anxiety. Sorry. In the material world, there is always anxiety or fearfulness in the hearts of all living entities. But the Lord, being Himself the supreme fearless, also awards the same quality of fearlessness to His pure devotees.
Yes. So the Lord explains before the Prabhupada explains before this about understanding. How a mundane cannot understand the spiritual, and the Lord, if He wants to give, but then He concludes very nicely that the same Lord awards fearlessness huh, in his pure devotee. So there is birth, old age, disease, and death, bound with time, which is always changing, and the living with fear. But the Lord is so kind that He awards fearlessness to His pure devotee. Our goal of life should be to associate with the Lord's pure devotees. Associate with the Lord's pure devotees. Otherwise, in the material world, it's a madness going on. My Guru Maharaj was once telling that now the scientists are trying very hard, because nowadays people enjoy in the material world, then they have different kind of disease. And sometimes kidneys are failed. So then, kidney replacement is there, You have to put your your name in the hospital. And then you have to wait if someone dies. And if that family is ready to give you the kidney, then immediately you can replace. Or that's how the deal is, organ replacement, organ donating bank. In that your name should be there. Then, some sick people say, मैंने हॉस्पिटल में नाम दिया, मेरा नंबर 3 है, तीसरा आदमी जब मरेगा तो मेरा किडनी. So it is all. So now people are saying even that has become so lengthy. So now doctors are working very hard if the pig's kidney can be fixed on human. They are working very hard. Pig's kidney can be replaced with a human, in case can be worked out in a way that it can function. So right now they are doing a lot of research on this horrible material world. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki. Any questions?
Grace.
Prabhupada says that don't try to get the mercy, don't try to go and don't go and ask for the mercy of the pure devotee or guru. Serve in such a way that the guru or the pure devotee will search for you to give his mercy. So it is only devotional service which will give everything what we want, and which will take away everything what is an obstacle in our devotional life. This is called the bottom line. You understand? And Prabhupada's program in this ISKCON temple, Srila Prabhupada has established a beautiful temple program. You do the temple program and you do whole the devotional service in such a way that the body doesn't have energy for sense gratification. It has only energy to sleep and again get back to sadhana and service. That's how you will get the mercy, and you will not even know about it, because you will be busy so much giving it to others and gaining it more and more that you will not even understand that's going on in your life. Understand? So it's not something like I will say and you will see it coming. It is individual realization and the assessment of our superiors who can tell us. Jnaninas tattva. Now our duty is only Bandamoi savadana mate. Savadhana. Savadhana means carefully and cautiously performing our devotion. Carefully, cautiously perform our devotion service. Automatically. Like for example, We all are sitting here few 10, 15, 20 years ago. We would never imagine what we are doing here is possible for any human being to do, which is giving up the social life, giving up all this ampo of the material world, family, society, marriage, expenses, property, houses, mutual funds, investments, jobs, business, enjoying, partying, movie, everything, right? We never imagined we could. There was imagination is beyond. We were not even aware that this is suffering in the material world, and today we are living a total opposite life, right? Correct? Don't you feel it's mercy? Yes. That's it. Keep going. Mercy will keep coming. Like someone said once, Prabhuji, that book is there of, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the ray of Vishnu. So how did Bhakti Siddhanta appear? Was it like in the womb of Bhakti Thakur, suddenly a ray came and Bhakti Siddhanta appeared? So that's, this is called avidyara. What we call avidyara? The effect of avidya. Jadara vidya mayara. So much we have mundane knowledge that we try to perceive everything from that knowledge. And the jiva suffers. Just like today I told about this cartoon. That boy is telling. He threw his shoe in the air and told the mother, look, see, shoe is not handling the hair. How come? That innocent faith, nobody can take away. And we all lose that phase. We were sent to schools. We were sent to universities where we explained that until you study, until you read, until you write, until you pass exam, and then you get a piece of paper in your hand, you are not intelligent. Even after that, others have to say, अरे उसकी बेटे का देखो कितना marks मिला है. That is actually real enjoyment. अरे उसके बेटे की नौकरी उधर है. That is real enjoyment. That is all avidya. And once you go through it 10 to 20 years, it can take a lifetime or lifetimes to come out of. Hence, we should have complete faith on Prabhupada's book. Nama bina kali kale nahi yar dharma sarva mantra sara nama ei shastra marma Prabhu tumi jive Manga Chinta Tori Kali Yuge Sange Swayamavatari. That's the essence. If you don't understand anything, these three lines, if you understand, perfect. Nama Bina Kali Kale Nahi Ara Dharma. Sarva Mantra Sara Nama Ei Shastra Marma. There is no other mantra in the holy name. The essence of the scriptures to chant the holy name. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Granth Raj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki.